In my previous video, I showed this chart that shows my app's downloads in the first couple of weeks after the launch, and that in total it got roughly 4,000 downloads. So in this video, I want to break down everything I did in terms of marketing before and during the launch itself in order to get to that number and show you which things worked in my case and which were mostly waste of time. And for the context, I didn't spend any money on marketing. So far, I was able to get by with just 3 public channels to promote the app. I'll first describe a few bigger ongoing strategies that helped me build a small audience even before the app was launched, and then I'll describe my exact actions to bring attention to the app in the first couple of weeks after it was already in the store. I started to do this a few years ago when I was making my first attempts to build a completely different app, but basically I have a running note where I write down all the places where I could potentially promote a product. Things like different app catalogs, publications where I can potentially post something, all kinds of subreddits that allow self-promotion, this kind of stuff that I randomly stumble across, and unless I write it down, I will forget it the next day. So I put it in the note, and when the time comes, I go through that list and pick things that seem relevant for the product that I'm launching at the moment. By the way, I published my list on GitHub. Feel free to have a look and maybe even contribute some more stuff to help out our small indie dev community. That would be amazing. Link to the repository is in the description. You all know the whole build in public thing, right? It got a bit toxic lately with all the MRR progress bars and AI micro SaaS bros, but the core idea, I believe, is still there. People are interested in the behind the scenes of building something and the thought process of the person who's building. So in my case, I started this YouTube channel and my first video was about the app, which at the time was barely a prototype, but I wanted to start a YouTube channel anyways, and having my app as a topic there seemed like a good idea in case someone would actually watch the videos and discover the app this way. And now the analytics kind of confirms the theory. Every time I publish a new video, there is a slight bump in downloads, but this of course with the caveat that making those videos takes away time that I could have spent building the app, but overall, I think it's a good trade-off because it also gives me a lot of new skills and a creative outlet, all of that good stuff. So YouTube for me is the main place I want to publish content. I like to wrap my progress into this small kind of stories, and genuinely making videos for me is much more fun than, for example, having a blog or a newsletter. But everything that doesn't fit into the video format, I try to post on a few other socials, mainly it's Threads, Mastodon, and overall I have just a few hundred followers on those platforms, but it grows slowly and still gives some exposure to my projects, especially when some posts get picked up by the algorithm. Later I will show some examples. I try to keep my posts there strictly about the work I'm doing, no broad opinions or life updates. I personally like to follow accounts that more or less stick to one area or a topic. There is a big Swift community on Mastodon because somehow when the big migration from Twitter was happening, a lot of Swift people ended up on Mastodon. And it's a great platform. I was initially posting only there and later decided to branch out to Threads and now X. I did that mostly because I just want to reach as much people as I can, and it seems like overlap in terms of audience on those platforms isn't that huge. At some point I still hope that one of those platforms would win and we would have a single platform to post stuff, but it seems like we're in this fragmented state for a while. So I just post the same stuff everywhere and still reach different people. But what I wanted to mention about Mastodon is that it doesn't have an algorithmic feed, and I know some people prefer this, but in terms of promoting your product is a huge downside, unfortunately. On Threads I have many posts that got thousands of views, even though only only a few hundred of people follow me there. For example, my post about launching a website for the app got 11,000 views, and at the time website also had a subscription form to be notified when the app lands in the App Store, so 262 people subscribed, and it was yet another small additional marketing channel. And this could never happen without an algorithmic feed. But of course I try to post somewhat consistently to give myself a better chance to be noticed by the algorithm. In terms of ideas for posts, I just try to notice when, for example, some design turned out particularly nice, or I discover some new trick in SwiftUI. Usually I write those down in a note, and when I don't feel like doing actual work, I post some of those things, and I usually also include some nice screenshot or demo video when possible. Usually those do a bit better. So those long-term strategies help me to kind of do groundwork so that I don't start from a complete scratch in terms of audience and just release into the void. And then my plan for the launch was looking like this. On the launch day, I was going to post about it on my socials and make a simple short and a community post here on YouTube, and also send an email to people who subscribed through the website. On Threads, the announcement post got 3,000 views to this day, but I believe most of it was on the launch day itself. Then Mastodon post, there is no way to see how many views it got, but it has a bunch of comments and favorites, so some people saw it. The short on the launch day got 3,500 views, and today it sits around 1.5k, so you see it still might generate some traffic. The email for waitlist subscribers get opened 213 times, and roughly half of those people clicked on the link inside. For the next day, I have scheduled the ProductHunt launch, which I guess went okay. Checker got 100 upvotes and ended up in number 19 in daily rank, but to be honest, the whole ProductHunt experience wasn't super great for me, and I'm not even sure I would bother to launch there next time. There probably were legit interested people who downloaded the app from there, but mostly I got a lot of spam from people trying to sell upvotes on LinkedIn of all places, and it seems like most of the comments on the launch page are also AI generated by some bots. You see, I was still trying to respond because I wasn't completely sure at the time, but looking at them again now, I'm almost certain 90% of them are ChatGPT. I have a conspiracy theory that it's ProductHunt itself trying to give impression of activity because real people don't go there that much anymore. But anyway, if you launched on ProductHunt recently, let me know in the comments how it went for you, because yeah, my experience wasn't that great. The next day was my Reddit day. I posted in iOS apps and side projects subreddits. The one in side projects did a lot better. It got decent views and a bunch of great feedback. And that was it for now, but Reddit story gets some follow-up. I will talk about it in a bit. I had two more items on my checklists. First is to email Federico Vitici. If you don't know, he's a founder of Mac Stories. They write about Apple and apps. So I thought I could at least try to get a mention from them somewhere. It seemed like a long shot, but Federico answered my email, said that he liked the app, and in a few days he mentioned Checker in their weekly newsletter, which was super cool, though I of course have no idea how many people saw that email. And the second item, I tried to get Checker into the installer newsletter, which is run by David Pierce from The Verge. It's a cool newsletter, I read it myself every week, but unfortunately Checker didn't get in. In the meantime, while all of this is happening, I'm also editing a longer video for the channel. I posted it somewhere at the end of the launch week, and to this day it got roughly 6,000 views. At this point I was kind of out of ideas, and I was going again through my promotion channels list, and there was still one interesting item there. On Apple subreddit, which has almost 6 million members, on Sundays you are allowed to self-promote your stuff, but of course it should be related to Apple. I thought this sounds interesting, but probably in such a huge subreddit there will be just flood of self-promotions on Sunday and mine will be just lost. So I didn't have much expectations, but decided to try anyway, kind of just in case. Though I didn't want to blatantly self-promote by just pitching my app, right? So I crafted this a bit of a story about myself and my journey to building this app. Then on Sunday I finally post, again without too much expectation, but all of a sudden just in a few minutes I get a ton of upvotes, nice comments that people like the app and feature suggestions, all of that stuff, and I feel super excited at that point, and then the post disappears. And now my emotions are of course a complete opposite of what it was before. I'm trying to understand what happened, messaging the moderator, trying to reason that my post met all the self-promotion criteria. They answer me only in a couple of hours and I'm at the time already in the acceptance stage, but basically they say that I wasn't active enough member of the subreddit, and that is also one of the requirements for self-promotion, which is fair enough. I never posted or commented anything there. But now, having seen what it could have been, I decided to be active there the whole next week. I set a reminder for myself to post or comment in the subreddit every single day, and then the next Sunday I'll try again. Unfortunately, this not very sophisticated plan seemed to work. I post the next Sunday and spent pretty much the whole day answering comments. The post got some ridiculous views, hundreds of upvotes. I believe it was one of the top posts that day, which is completely crazy. So those were my active marketing efforts in the first couple of weeks, and they resulted in roughly 4,000 downloads, as I mentioned in my previous video where I break down all the results so far. Currently the whole marketing thing in this kind of passive background state. I still post about the app on my socials and occasional devlogs will still pop up on this channel. I'm now trying to figure out App Store search optimization without any significant results for now, but in case I have some breakthrough there, I'll make sure to post a video about it. Also, the app has made some money, as I shared as well in my previous video, and I'm going to reinvest it all back. We'll probably try to buy App Store ads at some point, or maybe we'll experiment with ads on some other platform like Instagram. And again, I'll make sure to share everything here. Let me know in the comments if you have more ideas on how an indie app developer can promote their stuff, and I hope showing my experience was useful to someone else as well. But that's it for this one. Thank you for watching. Cheers.